Now, I just want to say from a personal note on this one, I was thinking about this the other day. I have a lesbian sister who has a long-term partner. They live together. And I thought to myself, if I didn't have my sister, would I have enrolled and bothered to vote?
Not that you'd be against it. You
I don't have a problem with it, but I thought it doesn't affect me personally. So no, I probably wouldn't have. So I want to encourage people to still do it, even if you think it doesn't bother me either way.
Yeah, it's interesting to say that because I actually feel there is a sense of guilt to me that we're deciding on someone else's life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean though, Bill? Like it feels like why should we have to do this when it's their right?
No one else had to have their marriage or their relationships voted on by completely random strangers across Australia.
I did it when I got married just to see how people felt about it.
You wanted someone to go, I object, I love him.
How'd you go? Was it thumbs up or thumbs down?
It was thumbs up.
Well, carry on then. The proposition is that we make laws every day. We don't need to have a separate process for gay people of lawmaking. So I really don't like the fact that this government's so weak they've just kicked it out and said it's too hard for us because it is not the way which we do things, and so we're treating gay people differently. Having said that, if we're going to have the vote, for that very reason that you were talking about your sister, I'm voting yes. Not because I think the process this vote is a great idea, but because I want to say to LGBTI Australians, you're not on your own. You're valued.
Yeah,
and in fact, the big reason I'm also voting yes is because, frankly, not everyone lives in a nuclear family of mum, dad, 2 kids and Spot the dog behind a white picket fence. So for me, this is standing up for all Australians whose relationships and whose family life is complex, and I just want to make very clear that I support people. It's what's in their heart that matters. It's not some old-fashioned definition of marriage.
That's exactly right. Now, Bill, we are going to put you on the spot a little bit here because we had lined up, because you're running late because you're a busy man chatting to everyone.
Not your fault. It's a busy day for you.
I was on hold for you guys.
No, but we wanted you 5 minutes earlier, but that's okay. Hey, no one needs to know the ins and outs. We were going to speak to, and the reason for this is, we want to hear why and try and, I guess, hopefully sway a few of these people. We do have Lyle Shelton on. Now, he's from the Australian Christian Lobby, who is a no vote. Now, he's on. Good morning, Lyle.
Yeah, good morning, everyone.
Now, you would have heard Bill there saying why
I heard a bit of it. We had some technical issues at this end, but I heard a snippet.
You can probably imagine what he was saying.
Yes.
Lyle, what are your reasons for voting no?
Well, look, there's millions of Australians who will always believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. We believe that's important, that every child should have the right to their mum and dad. And it's not about who people love. Everyone in Australia is free to love whoever they want. But if you change the definition of marriage, that's going to affect the freedoms of millions of Australians, including 1 in every 5 Labor voters who want to also preserve the definition of marriage. And, I just hope that we don't see those people as bigots or haters. It's not about that. It's about them believing in marriage as a man-woman project, and that's the best way for socialising the next generation.
Kyle, before we get Bill to answer, can I just ask one thing? With the Marriage Act, because it's 1961, do you believe that it needs to be updated? Because I think a lot of people that say it's between a man and a woman don't realise that we're actually allowed to have like an uncle and niece marry. You can realise that is the 1961 is an old time and does need to be updated.
Well, look, for thousands of years, all cultures have believed that marriage is between a man and a woman. But what we've seen where this has changed in other parts of the world, people are being taken to court for alleged bigotry because they just want to believe that and hold to that definition. And in America, there's a 71-year-old grandmother, Baronelle Stutzman, who's a florist, and she's in front of the US Supreme Court right now because she simply said, look, I just respectfully don't want to be part of a same-sex wedding, yet the law is forcing her, and she's been put up on bigotry charges just because she wants to live out what she believes about marriage. Now,
Lyle, you're talking about a case that's happening over in the States. And I did want to ask, both you and Bill this question. Lyle, let's just say, for example, and I know you would have had someone in your life that you've seen, go through their end of life and perhaps pass on. What would you say about the fact that, close family of Maddie, close family of mine, those two people are not allowed in the room with their loved one who might be dying because they're not seen as next of kin.
You still
by
with
the
us,
eyes
Bill?
of law.
Just want to check you're still there, Bill.
No, well, that's where there's a lot of misconceptions. Back in 2008, when Labor was in government under Kevin Rudd, and
No, I'm asking you a question. I don't want you to talk to me about what happened 10 years ago. I'm asking you a question. I'm asking how you would feel.
But no one has to feel that. This is the point. The laws were changed back in 2008, 2009. We support all that. Gay couples have all those next of kin rights. They're allowed to be in the next room. All the discrimination was taken away. What we're talking about now is a change to the definition of marriage, which is going to affect everyone's freedoms. And Bill's party has said they're going to fine bakers and florists and photographers and wedding venue operators who want to continue to live out their sincerely held beliefs about marriage. Now, that's not free Australia. That's that's forcing everyone to believe someone else's definition of marriage.
Right. Bill, we've got you there, Bill. You were in the Parliament. What are your thoughts on the things you're hearing here, mate?
Listen, I've met Lyle before, and he's entitled to his view, and he's stating his view. But an argument which says that if you vote yes in this postal survey, that's going to impinge upon the freedom of millions of Australians, that's just living on another planet. I just think that's a ridiculous argument. If you vote in this postal survey and say, yep, you think marriage equality should be legislated, you are not impinging on the freedom of millions of Australians. It is now currently illegal to discriminate against people on the basis of sexuality. So the discrimination laws exist now.
Well, with respect, Bill, that will change because you're changing the marriage law and you're going to put in place an LGBTIQ commissioner, like a rainbow government-funded cop on the beat, to police people who don't believe this new definition of marriage. And
I for one, welcome our rainbow cop overlords.
Can I just really just talk about the real world? Most gay couples, I suspect, don't want to go to a baker who doesn't want to bake them a cake. If you're having a wedding and the person who would be your wedding singer, and if the wedding singer doesn't approve of your relationship, chances are you're not going to demand that they sing in some sort of bizarre act of,
So why is Barronell in front of the US Supreme Court, Bill?
Oh, Lyle, if you want to talk about America,
real case. This is not exaggerated.
Why is Donald Trump the president? You know, we can talk about America.
Well, you can mock that, Bill, but Barronell, and there's a cake maker there. There's a Jewish school in London about to close down because they won't teach children.
Be fair. I'm not mocking the propositions. I said you're entitled to your opinion, and you know I think that, and you know that. This whole debate that if you don't like the way this country's going, as Tony Abbott said, vote no in the marriage survey, or if somehow you think that this is going to be a big impingement on religious freedom, those arguments are separate to voting in this postal survey.
But they're consequential with respect, Bill, and you know I thank you for you giving me freedom to express my view. But there are consequences.
Sorry to be rude.
Say that.
Don't want to cut you boys off, but we are running over time, and we did not plan for this to happen.
You could agree with Lyle, or you could agree with me.
Yeah.
But whatever you do, please enrol. aec.gov.au.
Yes, very important to do so. Bill Shorten, always a pleasure to have you on, mate. We really appreciate you coming on and always taking our call. Your friend Malcolm never takes our call, by the way. Bill Shorten does, so we appreciate that.
He will eventually. He'll copy me.
Thank you.
He's always copying my homework.